It's a beautiful morning, Nigeria. Welcome to Daybreak on Trust Television. We're reaching you from the nation's capital, Abuja. My name is Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for joining us on the show this Thursday morning. If today is your first time of joining us, we are glad that you did, and we would like you to join us every morning on weekdays from 7 to 9 a.m. The Daybreak Show brings you analysis on latest happenings, featuring news reviews and discussions with experts. Today on Daybreak, Nigeria turns 61 post-independence. How is the journey so far? Dr. Hussaini Tukur from the Political Science Department, Nasarawa State University, KEFI, will join us to discuss this later. Still on the show, Daily Trust launches membership portal to engage loyal readers. The editor-in-chief, Daily Trust, Malam Naziru Mikailu, joins us to discuss this on the show as well. For now, let's take a look at the 30th of September in world history. Join us again. There you have it, the 30th of September in world history. Now, of very significance to me in particular is that in 1960, 15 African nations were admitted to the United Nations. They include Benin Republic, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Chad, Congo, Cote d'Ivoire, Democratic Republic of Congo, the Congo, Gabon, Niger, Somalia, Togo, and the rest of them. Now, the first peacekeeping mission on the African continent was established in what is now the Democratic Republic of Congo with the support of 20,000 troops. But there have been some criticism in how the United Nations is responding to conflict situations in Africa. Case studies, some of which we have seen, is the Rwanda genocide, the South Sudan conflict, in Mali as well. It is said that today in Mali, peacekeepers are under-equipped and they lack capacity and human resources. However, the United Nations Millennium Development Goals ended with some measure of progress. Africa's GDP growth since 2001 has remained positive, with rates of at least 5% compared with the global average of 3%. This is to mention a few successes that were recorded. But why has the representation of Africa in the United Nations Security Council remained a debate till date? That's for you to figure out. I'm not going to say much about that. Let's move on. Let's take a look at the dailies on Daybreak. The general editor, Daily Trust newspaper, Hamza Idris, joins us to review the stories that made the headlines. Good morning, and it's good to have you join us.
Good morning. How you are?
Before we begin to take a look at the papers, let's go on a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll start right away. Please join us again.
Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the Trust TV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search Trust TV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
African fabric is finding its way to the global stage. But Nigeria is losing out on big textile spenders as the local industry faces imminent extinction.
Behind me is the Arewa Textile Mill, established in 1963 and eventually closed down in 2004.
From over 180 textile mills in the 70s, only about 25 mills now operate at less than 40% capacity.
I'm an employee of Arewa Textile PLC before it closed. After a month, I was just like a madman.
In a day, they laid off 4,500.
The once thriving sector struggles to compete with an annual import of $4 billion.
Smuggling is the order of the day.
For manufacturers, we cannot compete.
We visit the nation's textile hubs to seek answers to why the sector has failed to return to its glory days despite government's intervention.
When the situation where you find that a look at this,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
but I have said that.
Yes, it's the dailies on Daybreak this morning, and we have the general editor, Daily Trust newspaper, Hamza Idris, in the studio to review some of the major stories with us. Welcome again.
Good morning.
Let's begin with the Daily Trust newspaper. Here we have some of the stories. The first one you could, at a side on the front page, you could see is Daily Trust launches Trust Plus, special invitation to our esteemed readers. Would look at all of that holistically later on the show. We have Senate to Buhari, declare bandits as terrorists. You have the writers there saying bomb all their locations. Decision long overdue. That's according to ex-DIG. Policemen missing as bandits abduct 27 in Sokoto community. You'll also find the pictorial there showing you EU, UK, FBI, others support EFCC strategic plan. And the picture there is showing you the chairman of the EFCC alongside other partners there. Beside the pictorial, recruitments into security agencies politicized. That's according to the governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum. You'd also have outrage over killing of Akunyili's widower, 7 others in Anambra. Very, very sad scene there. From what we gathered, he was murdered, in cold blood. And it's quite pathetic that you have someone who is husband to a person who is recognized as someone who has made sacrifice for Nigeria killed in that manner. We pray that the family will find comfort. Below that, you would see also El-Rufai to southern governors. You can't get presidency by force. These are some of the stories. And there you have it below that. Trust TV on channel 164. That's the channel you're watching right now. We're on air. You can advertise your products there. Below that, you would see Jonathan asks National Assembly to adopt e-transmission of results. These are some of the major stories on the Daily Trust this morning. And like I told you, we have the general editor, Daily Trust newspaper, Hamza Idris. Now, let's take a look at some of these major stories. The lead story here is talking about Senate asking the president to declare bandits as terrorists, as if they weren't.
It's a clarion call. You know, it's not really binding on the president to accept or understand, but it's a clarion call, and I think the Senate spoke the mind of Nigerians, including this newspaper, because a few weeks ago we ran an editorial where we said the president, and by extension the federal government, should call them, let's call them by their names, because they are arsonists, they kill, they maim, they destroy, they make life so uncomfortable for everyone. In the last couple of years, almost every story that comes out, especially from the Northwest, is about killings.
I mean, but of what difference is it really? The name, whether it's called bandit or whether it's called terrorist. I mean, what is important is that the security forces should do the needful in terms of protecting the lives of Nigerians.
Yes, you see, sometimes the designation is very important. If you look at it, even the global response, you understand, if you designate something appropriately, the attention it will get, both locally and internationally, will be different. Before Boko Haram was declared a terrorist organization, some would just say they are ragtag. They are ragtag. And some were even questioning why the military, was deployed, especially after the declaration of state of emergency. But later, when it was declared a terrorist organization, the response, even in terms of humanitarian response, was more visible. So the expectation, especially based on what people told us while putting together this story, is that the federal government should change the approach in terms of deployment, in terms of response, and then in terms of even dealing with the miscreants.
But, I mean, Boko Haram, for instance, have been designated a terrorist organization for as long as I can remember, but it doesn't seem like, we're still fighting the insurgents in the Northeast. So, we
have made significant progress. For sure, anyone you ask, if he's passionate about Nigeria, he will tell you that the Boko Haram of 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, is not the same as what we have now. Of course, we still have challenges in the Northeast, but not, the magnitude that we had it, before. And I strongly believe it is because of the change in approach. Sometimes people don't really appreciate success story until when it is over.
So if you look at this point of branding the bandits as terrorists, will it make us much difference if we still talk about our military forces being overstretched, and we'll still talk about manpower in the security force being still not adequate and all of that? We still talk about ungoverned spaces and all of that.
That is it. And that is the call every other person is making, including us, that look, after declaring them terrorists, mobilize more resources, whatever it takes. Nigeria took care of other countries' troubles before. You just mentioned it, the issue of the United Nations, the coalitions, and all that. We did a lot. and it is there. So the federal government this time around should also mobilize enough assets, air assets, ground troops, intelligence gathering, so that the bandits will be tackled out.
All right, talking about mobilizing security forces, we have the governor of Borno State here. He's concerned that the recruitment into security agencies is being politicized. Maybe you give us an idea. What does this actually mean?
You see, the man speaks his mind, and sometimes, out of frustration, you see him voicing out some of the challenges facing Nigeria in general. He's from Borno, the worst hit by the insurgency since 2009. Now, there was time here during one of the reviews, I personally made mention of the recruitment process into our armed forces and then sister agencies. It is not good. Why am I saying this? You see young Nigerians who are willing to serve Nigeria. Graduates, some who just finished secondary school, who are willing to be recruited into the police, into the civil defense, into the defense academy. But they just can't have access. You can see we said we have manpower shortages. But still, people are willing to join, but you must know somebody. This is not a mere allegation, because go and get of course, the agencies, they publish the names of the people they recruit. But who are they?
Do you think that this is probably part of the reasons why we, see the low morale, and the lack of will by some of the security agents to follow through?
Take the NDA, for instance, or the police colleges, or the police academy in Kano. Just go and check or take the roll call of those recruited. They are children of senators, members of House of Reps, members of State Assembly, emirs, governors, former head of states. You understand? They are children, they are wards or children of those very close to them. They get notes, and then they are recruited. And they get into these services not because they want to serve, but for status symbol. That is where the problem lies. Most of those who join, especially the higher cadre, they join the services for status symbol. So by the time you ask the son of a certain emir who is a second lieutenant, or you ask him to go to Borno, or you station him at Borno Ngwari, you will receive call. The postmaster. You understand?
So
you will receive some call.
Who is responsible for regulating this? Who is supposed to make sure that recruitments are done based on merits and based on, the potentials of, the candidates?
For every establishment, you have the secretariat there that is charged with responsibilities. And sometimes I don't really blame them, because they are under pressure. What do you do, Mr. Ayuba, when you receive a call or a text message or a letter on a letter-headed paper from a governor? Sometimes, in fact, they send the list to them that, okay, for Bauchi or for Katsina or for Benue, these are our preferred candidates. So what options do you have? You, the recruitment officer.
What's the way out of this?
Patriotism. Those who God has blessed and they are in position of authority, they should look at Nigeria first before personal interests. Yes.
Another story that got my attention is the killing of the, widower of the late Dora Akunyili in the southeast, Anambra State to be specific. It's so sad, isn't it?
Honestly, I shed tears when I saw a video clip. You know, the man gasping for breathing, for air. You know, when he was forcibly, you know, ejected from his vehicle and then shot at close range. I was devastated yesterday. And this is how low we become. It's not even about the late wife. He too, you know, was an authority.
But what could have been the reason behind this?
You see, accusations and counter-accusations. You know, the first line of the accusation was pointed at IPOB. For a very long time, you know, they have been killing people in the southwest. Almost every other person, they kill the civilians, they kill the military, they kill politicians, irrespective of political leaning. This is the trouble. And I remember we, the Daily Trust, we suffered the brunt at the beginning because of experience. We've been calling them out. But one of the regulatory agencies even wrote to us that why are we calling them IPOB? They are unknown gunmen. Now this is where it has landed us. Nobody, you know, will come from the hell or heaven, just come and kill. You have to, you know, flag it too.
And it appears that it's almost like a similar case that we experienced in the Northeast when Boko Haram insurgency started at the initial, when high-profile politicians and government officials are targeted.
Yes, you see, IPOB, just like the call now for bandits to be designated as terrorists, since last year, the group has been designated as a terrorist organization. But up to now, they issue press statements every day. And our security agencies, they know where the leaders are. You know, of course, they have arrested Kanu, the overall leader. But all his foot soldiers are there.
Still brings us back to the issue of the significance of designating them terrorist group. I mean, if further actions will not be taken.
Yes, so that is why we are now noticing this callousness in the southeast. They are killing people. They said there will be no election in Anambra. And then yesterday they issued a statement that they were not responsible. Who is responsible for the killing of this innocent man?
All right, then. Let's take a look at other papers this morning on the show. We'll take a look at The Guardian. The Guardian newspaper at the very top there, of course, is the usual editorial of the paper. Federalism is the answer. There's been about 49 editions of that article or that piece. You also have below the nameplate there, the lead story says, judges in South Africa, Ghana, earn 3 times higher than Nigerian colleagues. You'd find the writer there saying Nigeria's judicial officers among least paid globally. AFBA document. Appeal court president's salary equivalent to that of research fellow at NILDs. You'd see also qualified legal practitioners no longer find the bench attractive, says Adegburua. You'd find bar must speak out for them, Uwefu. Salary may be poor. Allowances make it up. That's King Lade saying that. You'd see also beside the pictorial by the left of the paper, declare bandits as terrorists, Senate tells Buhari. Those are the major stories there. Of course, at the very bottom, you have Oyo seeks to join Rivers VAT suit against FG. World leaders pledge $1.1 billion to tackle COVID-19, poverty, climate change. UK ballistic expert sheds light on Lekki tollgate shootings. You'd also find beside that, Akunyili's killers will face double judgment, says Buhari. How nepotism, injustice in Buhari's administration fueled insecurity by Wike. Still, we have this allegations, accusations, and counter-accusations. Almost like a daily thing on our papers, isn't it? Now, the conversation about the remuneration for judges, a comparison has been made now between our own judges and others in other African countries, South Africa and Ghana. But other people are arguing that the allowances make up for the salaries.
For me, there is no basis for comparison in the first place, because in Nigeria we are still struggling to define minimum wage and whether it is really minimum. Up till now, some states can't afford to pay the 30,000 minimum wage. Some, even at 18,000 naira, they owe workers, including the judicial workers, billions of naira in arrears. So it's a systemic problem in Nigeria. That is why I don't want to narrow it down to judges, because judges don't operate in isolation. They are part of the system. The judiciary is also part of the system. We have the executive, we have the legislature. You understand? So it's a serious problem, and we just have to wake up from our sleep, because now even those who are earning well, especially those who are working in government agencies and some private organizations, you see them crying. Somebody's salary cannot last for 1 week, and you call it salary? And that is why corruption is almost everywhere. People struggle to live. I'm telling you, an average Nigerian detests corruption, and he frowns at it. But what do? Sometimes you collect the salary, and then in less than 1 week, it is gone. You have many mouths to feed, to pay school fees, to attend to, health, and all that. So it's a serious problem, and Nigeria must work hard to address some of these things. Specifically for the judges, you need them. We need the judiciary to get it right.
All right.
Yes.
All right, let's scan through some of the papers we have as well. The Punch and the Nation newspaper. The lead story here talks about FG revokes 5,793 mining licenses in 6 years. Operators blame insecurity. The writer there says revoked licenses not used. Operators failed to start mining, says ministry official. Miners shunning mining sites because of kidnappers, insurgents. That's according to the association. And on the Nation newspaper also, you have a few stories there as well. Of course, not much of a difference from what we've seen from the other papers. The lead story says, El-Rufai notes governors not against power shift in 2023. You'd also see, we abhor the language of South governors. Politics is about negotiation, horse tackling. Well, this appears more like a contradiction, again, of the initial statements that we have seen. Isn't that the point?
You're talking about power rotation?
Yes.
We'll continue having all this until 2023. For El-Rufai, yesterday, it's like he emphasized what the northern governors agreed on. You understand? What he said was, you can't get it by force. You can't get it by force. It's about negotiation. It's about mutual respect, and it's about what you will bring to the table. So I think generally the politicians, they will continue to talk on this, and the North and the South, definitely the politician will not just agree to, just hand over power on a platter of gold. Because, of course, you are going to have just one president, but it is beyond that. There are many other positions. So, okay, the vice president, okay, when we get it, you know, the allocation and distribution of other positions and all that. But ultimately, Nigerians should be allowed to vote, because you can't even have a new president in an atmosphere of acrimony. We need to save Nigeria first before talking about who should be the Nigerian president. And I hope before 2023, we should be able to resolve most of the challenges, you know, afflicting the country. Almost all the 6 geopolitical zones, they have their unique security challenge.
All right, Hamza Idris, General Editor, Daily Trust newspaper. Thank you for joining us this morning and sharing your thoughts with us on some of the stories that made the headlines.
Thank you very much.
Yes. At this point, we'll be going over to the next segment on the show, and that will be the first discussion. Stay with us after this short break.
But in a situation where you find that they must look like the same,
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
but I have said that.
Suleiman, Aya, and Tari, all from the Sulubawa clan, with a unique wealth of culture and deep love for cattle, which truly reflects their sense of family. But over time, everything changes with no lands for grazing. Experience the incredible story of the Fulani people, loved ones they must protect, the journey they must take.
The use of herbs and plants as medicine, popularly known as agbo, is a tradition that has always been a part of the Nigerian people.
Agbo cures different type of diseases.
For some traditional medicine practitioners and consumers, traditional medicine, or agbo as they are popularly called, still remain a trusted and preferable alternative.
I inherited this from my late grandmother.
More people need to believe in the potential of the phytomedicinal sector.
From the onset, our origination is from the herbal medicine.
There are other ailments that does not need surgery. I believe natural herbs can do the job very well.
My grandfather stayed 135 years before he died. So we are a family of roots.
We're sitting on a multi-billion-dollar gold mine here in Nigeria when we talk about herbal medicines.
However, this does not eradicate the importance and usefulness of modern medicine in the world today.
Thank you for staying with us. It's Daybreak on Trust Television. And now, Nigeria attained political independence on October 1st, 1960. It operated a federal system with 3 powerful regions initially, and later 12, 19, and then 30. And finally, we have 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. In October 1979, Nigeria switched to presidential system of government, having experimented parliamentary system during the first republic, maintaining its federal structure. In its 61 years existence as a sovereign independent nation, Nigeria has recorded military interventions 8 times, with different juntas ruling for over 29 years. Civilian democratic regimes enjoyed 6 years during the First Republic, 4 years during the Second Republic, and almost 22 years uninterrupted democratic rule since 1999. We have Dr. Hussaini Tukur to discuss what we've been looking at, the challenges in the past and what can the country achieve in the future. Good morning, and it's good to have you join us.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Dr. Hussaini Tukur is a lecturer from the Department of Political Science, Nasarawa State University.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now let's begin. How far so far with the Nigerian journey? Where were we? Where are we? And where are we heading politically wise?
Nigeria, like any other country, began a process of development with the independence. That is to say, most of the countries that were colonized and later secure independence began a journey that is not controlled, a journey that the indigenous people of those countries have to determine the speed and the process of their development. When Nigeria gained independence in 1960, there has been hope because of the potential of the country. The country has diverse group, it has diverse resources, and that was the potential in which many nations, including Nigerians, look at the country with the hope that in the near future it will develop and it will be independent, as the word says, and be work in partnership with other countries and to develop, to ensure that its citizens can reach any height of development. But unfortunately, as is the case with many other countries in Africa, Nigeria development process or governance was interrupted in 1966. And subsequently, we have series of negative political development, which at the end of the day stifle the development process. And up till today, we find that those issues that began shortly after independence and those that were inherited after independence continue to be obstacles to our development. When we look, for instance, at in 1960 or even shortly before independence, the national development plans, the process and the yearnings and the hope, we find out that we have not yet realized that, including those that were formulated by either the military or the civilian government in intent development between the military and the civilian. So this is the real picture about the development process of Nigeria. Although the challenges of Nigeria may be different from the challenges faced by other countries in Africa, but the fact remains that the political development has affected almost all segments and aspects of our development process, to the extent that up to today we do not have a consensus in the direction in which the country should pursue its development process among the elite and among the diverse group in Nigeria. And that is why you have differences in terms of perception of development, in terms of interest, and so on and so forth. That is the situation today.
So, looking at this, military juntas impacting on our political journey, there are those who will say that why don't we return to how we all started? For instance, it is said that in the First Republic, Nigeria was developing at a very fast pace, maybe because of the system of governance run at the time. But with the coming of the military, that's changed. And till date, it has been difficult to return to that structure. Why do you think this is the case?
It is difficult because the process of development initiated by the colonial regime was a type obtained in Britain, which means the parliamentary process. And the parliamentary process has its own features, and it has ways in which it resolves its problems. And that at a point in time, it's precisely in 1952, we started the process of a federal system. And a federal system sometimes gives the diverse group in the country the ability to feel a sense of belonging and also to initiate development on their own terms. And because of the differences we have in our process of development, especially in the colonial era, which we develop separately, and that every part of the country, especially the southeast and the south, the southeast and the south, that is the western part of the country, then we are developing differently. And therefore the values they cherish were also different values. And as a result of that, you find that the process of development was a culmination of different, and therefore each of them was interested in development, and the culmination of that means the development of the nation, the entire nation. But after the intervention of the military, you find a situation where the parliamentary system was no longer there. It was a dictatorship. And the dictatorship, the interest of the military then was to ensure the unity of the country. And in that respect, dictatorship was the only means of ensuring unity and clear direction. And therefore subjugated all interests into one, that of the military and that of promoting the interests of the country, irrespective of what is the view or interest of other parts of the country. And that is what we have. That is why we still have problems, despite the fact that we are under democracy and we have different states pursuing different interests. That imposition of a unity, a sort of central system, continue to hinder the development process. And that's why everyone look up to the center when there is a problem that can even be solved at the local level. For instance, at the local government level or at the state level. Everyone look up to. Take, for instance, the issue of security. In the past, especially during colonial era or in the early 60s, we have the native authority. The native authority was in charge of security in different parts of the country, in the provinces and so on and so forth. But today, because of the military intervention and subsequent need to insist on a central control of the whole nation, we do not have a semblance of security structure that is controlled by subnational tiers of government.
So do you think that that's the problem of political will to change the status quo, or is it the constitutional framework
is
being operated at
the
moment?
It's not the political will. It is also not the constitutional arrangement, but is the orientation in which we find ourselves. For instance, in the 60s, because of the political differences, there were regions who used the native authority police in prison against oppositions. And that is why when the military came, they decided at a point in time to centralize not only the prison, but also the police. And in that regard, it means that at the subnational level, the issue of security will no longer be in the hand of the indigenous people, if I may put it this way, but rather at the central level. Now, we under democracy that has been taken into the constitution.
But is that a sustainable arrangement, especially now that we talk about insecurity and that even government itself complains about not having challenges funding the police in the current arrangement that we have? So the security arrangement that we have, is that a sustainable one?
It may not be sustainable in the run, in view of the fact that the different challenges we have, security challenges, cannot be even addressed not only by the police, but by conventional forces who are only assigned to defend the sovereignty of the country. But all security apparatus today are involved in internal security. And that despite the fact that they are all involved in internal security to contend various or different type of security challenges, we are yet to see the light of the day. So in respect of this, that means there is need for internal security arrangements that may be controlled by the states or the local government. And that is why the clarion call in various levels of government today that security is not the business of government alone, but the business of all citizens. And that emphasizes the need to have an arrangement, a constitutional arrangement, that will provide a level of security, control, and management by states and local government. It may not be what other people are agitating, complete police, complete state police, complete local government police. But because of the diversity and the fear every part of the country has over the other, especially the debate ongoing between the South and the North, in terms of perception of the values in which the North or the South cherish, and the challenges of insecurity, for instance, in the eastern part of Nigeria with IPOB, and the western part of Nigeria, if you may recall, Nadeko and the rest of them, that also raises fear. So there should be an arrangement that takes care of certain aspects of our security. For instance, take for instance, when you have security challenges in a particular section of the country, take for instance the West, where Northerners are involved, like the issue of Ibadan, the crisis in Ibadan, engineered by, what do we call him? This...
you mean Sunday Igboho?
Sunday Igboho and the rest. If you look at IPOB also, where other citizens from other parts of the country are involved, and the support of the political groups and leaders of those part of the country to either Igboho or IPOB, that tells you other parts of the country may not be comfortable.
Now we've seen a lot of, let's shift away from the issue of security, because of course we have a lot of issues affecting even the security.
Yes.
For instance, the issues of governance at the local level, development and all of that. We've seen a lot of programs initiated, by government aimed at poverty alleviation and all of that. But you don't get to see the impact of that as much. What do you think could be responsible for that?
There are many factors responsible. One of the factors is corruption. The second factor is a political arrangement in the constitution, for instance, which give more power to the state than the local government. The joint account where the states governors control the whole resources and determine what kind of peanuts goes to the local government. Thirdly, is that most of the states and local government do not have development plans, do not have a vision of what the state should be, but from time to time, the governors in place or the leaders in place determine the programs of their government, and they pursue it to an extent that when they leave, other people do not see anything good in those, even if they come from the same political party. in the current dispensation. Fourthly, is that we have leaders who only think about development by citing specific projects that do not have link with the yearning and aspiration of the people. You find somebody who is interested in building an airport where there are no business, no passengers. And we have several states like that, especially in the northern part of the country, where an airport will gulf several billions of naira.
But
whereas people do not have water, neither electricity, they do not have drugs, even health facility, rather than consumable in those facilities. So that tells you that the state or the local government does not have clear policy or plan on how to develop it depends on who is in charge, what are his interests, what are his aspirations. And those form the basis of the development while he is in power. We need to change that. We need to have development plans. We need to pursue them. We need local government to have enough resources. We need them to do the needful. The responsibility of the state government is to ensure that those development issues planned are fulfilled, not to control the local government, to determine what resources go to them, to determine even what programs they do. The same at the state level. You find a state where even money impressed for consumable to state ministries are not released.
All right. We'll go on a quick break now, and then when we come back, we'll continue our discussion. We have Dr. Hussaini Tukur, who is a lecturer from the Political Science Department in Nasarawa State University, in the studio discussing Nigeria at 61. Please stay with us. We'll continue the discussion after this break.
Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the Trust TV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search Trust TV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
African fabric is finding its way to the global stage. But Nigeria is losing out on big textile spenders as the local industry faces imminent extinction. Behind me is the Arewa Textile Mill, established in 1963 and eventually closed down in 2004. From over 180 textile mills in the 70s, only about 25 mills now operate at less than 40% capacity.
I'm an employee of Arewa Textile PLC before it closed. After a month, I was just like a madman.
In a day, they laid off 4,500.
The once thriving sector struggles to compete with an annual import of $4 billion.
Smuggling is the order of the day.
From manufacturers, we cannot compete.
We visit the nation's textile hubs to seek answers to why the sector has failed to return to its glory days despite government's intervention. Thank you for staying with us. It's Daybreak from Trust Television, reaching you from the nation's capital. And yes, we are discussing Nigeria at 61. We have in the studio Dr. Hussaini Tukur from the university, Nasarawa State University here. Now,
Can you tell us, how do you see the correlation between the lack of development at the local level with the current insecurity that we are experiencing in the country?
Well, the security of any nation is anchored on the welfare of the people of that nation. In a situation where the vast majority of the people are ignorant, illiterate, unemployed, and the gap between the rich is very widening, or let me say the level of inequality in that country is very wide, and that opportunities do not exist because those in government do not create those opportunities, then that is the potential for crisis. And that is exactly what is happening in this part of the country, where you have bandits, where you have all sorts of crimes, drug abuse, and so on and so forth. The moment you just pay a lip service to education, you pay a lip service to industrial development, small cottage industries, small and medium enterprises. You are not concerned about skills acquisition. You are not concerned about provision of social service, social amenities, water, electricity, and other things that make life easier and create opportunity for people. For instance, electricity. Then you are creating potential for crisis, for further crisis. The moment that the leadership understand that people are docile, they do not understand what happened, and they do not protect or ask for, and the leadership believes that it can continue to indulge in white elephant project, and that people are not interested in what they do, and continue to wallow in poverty, ignorance, then you should expect crises like this. The present crises that we have were not foundation of today. They were foundation from the 80s, 90s, and up to today. The process in which we pursue our development indicates that as long as we continue to do what we are doing today, we will continue to expect crisis in future. And that all effort by our leaders to curtail those crises will be a process of exacerbating the crisis further. And that is what we find. All nations believe that the security of the nation shall be anchored on the welfare of the people. And that's what we don't have. Take, for instance, if someone gives an example of developed countries, people normally say it's incomparable. But the lesson from them is that when you look at Europe, some countries in Europe, some countries even in developing nations, that their security is rested on the fact that people have opportunity, they have certain level of development, that they feel that they continue to support the process, they continue to support the government, and that those hope that are raised continue to push the process of development. Where people are hopeless, they do not believe in the system, and that the system also is a negation of the process of development, which everyone understands. Then you don't expect people to always cooperate with government. You don't expect people to even have belief that one day they will come out of their problem. And that's why you find bandits in thousands. You find kidnappers in thousands. You have drug abusers. You have a process where people do not have hope, even in the judiciary, in the security system, in other. This means that we have to go back to the drawing board. Political parties also don't give hope. They don't have policies. They don't have programs. They don't even insist. They become subservient to those in power.
You're talking about political parties. You know, with the return of the civilian rule in 1999, after a long period of military government. I mean, everyone thought that this was the best, this was the way to go. But fast forward more than 20 years after the return of this democratic rule, would you say that Nigeria's situation has been better for it or even much worse?
We may not say nothing has been achieved. Neither will we say we'll be interested in going back to the days of the military. After all, democracy is anchored on the basis of freedom, liberty, in order to give opportunity for self-initiative, collective initiative, governmental initiative, in order to develop. What we have is dash hope in many aspects of our development. And there are many reasons for that. The political class that represent the leadership of the country have no vision for the country. They have vision for themselves, and they have vision to attain what other people in other part of the world have done, without really believing that the process followed by others to achieve greatness will have to be the same process they have to follow in order to attain those greatness. And that is why you find that corruption is not celebrated, neither entertained in other parts of the world. But here, you find somebody who has nothing in the last 1 or 2 years, in 1 year being part or in government, will be celebrated for having arrived, for having taken something, a position in which, instead of developing the nation or the country or where he is asked to serve, is celebrated for having number of cars, having houses around, and so on and so forth. So once the leadership do not have focus and consensus of what to do, then the followership will never have.
Do you think that there's a problem with our electoral process in the way in which leaders have been elected? Can the electoral process that we have here guarantee the electing of credible leaders in places of authority?
Yes, in the last 20 years, we do not have. But today, we are hoping to have that. First of all, the internal democracy in our party does not guarantee the emergence of leaders that are selfless, that are ready to serve. What we have are imposed leaders, or what you call consensus leaders. Within political parties, because there is no internal democracy, leaders are imposed. Leaders do not emerge. People do not see people that will be their leaders as those who emerge naturally from the political system process which is established in the party. If you look at the ruling party today, it is now that they are thinking about internal democracy, starting from the wards, building up to the national level. If you look at the opposition party, the same. If you look at a brief history of political process within political parties in the last 20 years, you may not conclude that the selection of political leaders within political parties has been a process that is sacrosanct, and that the followers of those parties believe that those leaders emerge and that those leaders could have something to offer for the nation. And this is one. Now, arising from this, when you go to the larger political contest, you could imagine that if such political parties are like that, then who are the members that would be elected into office, several positions, including appointed and non-appointed, non-elective? Take, for instance, all councillors that are elected, all house members in the states and the national level, all senators. You look at the process in which they emerge from their political parties, is that they do not emerge on the basis of the suffrage of the people that build the party or the members of the party. And therefore, in that respect, you do not also have to believe that the people that emerge in that process are the same people that will bring development, rather than to promote the interests they are pursue, particular interests. Although we may have different approach to the development, and we have different reason to say we'll do this, or we'll pursue this, or we'll pursue this. At the end of the day, we may not see the light of the day because people pursue their personal interests as a development interest or as national interest in so many respects. And this is all over the country. And that is why corruption has to thrive in that process.
You know, if you look at our electoral empire, for instance, INEC and the provisions of the Electoral Act, for instance, do you think that there are areas that need more attention specifically to regulate the activities of political parties?
There are many.
For instance, every election season you would see hundreds of political parties, you know, but at the end of the day, nothing. You find that there are two, you know, dominating and all of that. So, what are some of the regulations that you think could be done, as far as our political parties are concerned, to sanitize at least the process?
There are many ways in which you can handle this issue, but first of all, under a democracy, you don't determine who is the player, who is not the player, by just saying that we should have 2 political or 3 political parties. You have to set criteria in which those who fulfill those requirements can participate. For instance, in the First Republic, we have more than 73 political parties. Some of the parties were local parties. Some of them came into alliance to form an amalgam political party to contest, as it happened in the election to 2015. Prior to 2015, we have seen how many political groups came together and then emerged into one party. So that is a process. But one important thing is that since the Constitution has provided that everyone who aspires to form a group or a political party should do that, and has given INEC the mandate to regulate and determine who participates, is very simple. You can emerge as a political party today, but provided you do not have, for instance, 10 councillors all over the country, you do not have a single House of Rep member in the next 5 years, or a State House of Assembly member in the next 5 years, or you do not have offices in so number of states, or you do not also conduct internal democracy as prescribed by INEC, you cease to be a political party. These are also regulations.
What about the credibility of candidates, you know, and, you know, aspirants, you know, that we have? For instance, some candidates, you find that they have cases in court, they've been at one point or the other found guilty of something, that, you know, they still go ahead and they aspire and all of that.
Yeah,
is there anything that can be done in terms of the credibility of candidates?
Yes, there are ways you can handle that. One, at the political party level. It is a political party that sponsors a candidate. If a political party sponsors a candidate that has cases in court, these are criminal matters or other, or that he's officially being investigated by a government or a security agency and so on and so forth, there should be a provision that such candidate cannot be sponsored by political parties. But that is not the case today. A section of the Constitution said you are only guilty when you are pronounced by a court of competent jurisdiction. So in that case, even if you have cases in court and that a political party sponsors you, there is nobody that can stop you from contesting. And that the best way to go about it is that every political party, maybe under INEC regulation, should ensure that no individual emerge as a candidate or a leader of the party when the provision of the constitution of the parties are not abided, and that the executive of the party have no right whatsoever to set up a caretaker committee when the provision of the Constitution is clear that there should be no interruption in the leadership as provided by the Constitution. Where you just emerge today and you have problem with your leader of the party, you sit at the neck and decide to remove him and then appoint someone as caretaker committee. All the two parties are guilty of that at several occasions. Take, for instance, PDP. There has never been a smooth transition from one leader to the other through the electoral process as provided by the constitution of the party. The same today is happening at the ruling party. So these are things that INEC should ensure that there is no interruption. And that has been the case with also our local governments.
Right.
The Constitution has provided uninterrupted leadership, succession, but yet governors at will dissolve local government council, select and appoint those they believe their party members or their supporters, whether they are party members or not. And we continue this process. How do we ensure development?
All right. Well, thank you so much. We've been speaking with Dr. Hussaini Tukuru from the University of Nasarawa State University, actually. Thank you for coming on the show and sharing your thoughts with us. We have to end the discussion here because of time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. We'll be taking our next discussion, but that will be after this short break. Please stay with us. Daily Trust is launching a portal for their loyal readers. Stay tuned to hear more about that.
Suleiman, Aya, and Tari, all from the Sulubawa clan, with a unique wealth of culture and deep love for cattle, which truly reflects their sense of family. But over time, everything changes with no lands for grazing. Experience the incredible story of the Fulani people. Loved ones they must protect, the journey they must take.
The use of herbs and plants as medicine, popularly known as agbo, is a tradition that has always been a part of the Nigerian people.
Agbo cures different types of diseases.
For some traditional medicine practitioners and consumers, traditional medicine, or agbo as they are popularly called, still remain a trusted and preferable alternative.
I inherited this from my late grandmother.
More people need to believe in the potential of the phytomedicinal sector.
From the onset, our origination is from the herbal medicine.
There are other ailments that does not need surgery. I believe natural herbs can do the job very well.
My grandfather stayed 135 years before he died. So we are family of roots.
We're sitting on a multi-billion-dollar gold mine here in Nigeria when we talk about herbal medicines.
However, this does not eradicate the importance and usefulness of modern medicine in the world today.
All right, thank you for staying with us. It's Daybreak reaching you from Trust Television here in the nation's capital. And yes, we had a discussion about the Nigeria's 61 Independence celebration. Now we'll be going into the next discussion. Media Trust Limited, publishers of Daily Trust, our leading newspaper in Nigeria, is launching membership portal to sustain connection with loyal readers and consumers of its contents. The project is one innovation introduced by Daily Trust that will bring about robust journalism in the digital era. The formal launch is coming up on Thursday afternoon in Abuja. We have in the studio Editor-in-Chief of Daily Trust newspaper, Malam Naziru Mikailu, to discuss the membership project. Good morning, and it's good to have you join us.
Yeah, good morning.
Tell us about this initiative. I haven't heard much about this in certain quarters. What's the idea behind this?
Okay, thank you so much. I think the idea behind this membership project is largely to do with some of the changes that are taking place in the media industry globally. Because we have seen technological advancements, bringing in social media and other digital platforms. So traditional news organizations now have to find a way to connect more to their readers, their audiences, in order to sustain and also improve the journalism that we produce. So based on this, we now realize that there is need to improve that connection between our editors or our newsroom in general and our readers. So that is why we thought about this idea of membership, which has been tested and proved in other places, notably not in Nigeria. Of course, in Nigeria, there's only one media house that has also that is also trying it. But globally, especially in advanced countries, this thing has been tested, and a lot of media organizations are now using it. So that is why we say, okay, let us also try it, because we believe we have loyal readers that can join this initiative and also try to help Media Trust in what it's doing.
So how do you see this impacting on the kind of services that Media Trust provide? Of course, it's information driven, but in what specific ways are we expecting that there will be, an impact?
Okay, number one is the connection, improving the connection between our journalists and our readers. At the moment, the journalists usually sit in their offices and think about, well, today we should do a story about Zamfara. Tomorrow, let's do about Lagos. Let's do about Senate. Let's do about Buhari, APC, PDP. So we are the one sitting in our offices and deciding this with little input from our readers. Who are the consumers? So we put it out there for them, not really knowing whether they're actually interested in that or not. So it's more or less like one way kind of information or communication. But even though we have some mechanism where audiences do send in their comments, for example, via text messages or via WhatsApp or letters to the editors and things like that, but that also is one way. But what the membership is now trying to do is to open our door to our readers to say, okay, you are the real stakeholders. You can also contribute in our news decision making and also in the production process. For example, some of the members, one of the benefits that the members will get, it's opportunity to be attending meetings and conferences with our journalists and with our editors, those who happen to be in Abuja or who by any chance they find themselves in Abuja to do something, they can come in and attend our editorial meetings and contribute in the generation of ideas and even in deciding topics to cover. You can see that's number one. Number two, these same readers also have the opportunity to connect via special events that we will be organizing that are specific and also exclusive to members. So they can now connect, they can learn about how we operate, but also about other things that will help them in their own professional lives. We are also creating a special section for columnists who are specific for this project. So these are professionals, Nigerians from not only in Nigeria, but including those in diaspora, who can now be writing about their areas of specialization for the benefits of other people. But before they write, unlike the regular columnists where maybe Bulama Bakarti or any of our columnists will now decide to say, okay, today I want to write about banditry. Tomorrow I want to write about the Naira. No, these columnists will interact with the membership team, with the journalists to say, okay, these are the things that I want to write about this month. Well, the journalist will say, oh yeah, this is good, but maybe can you do it this way? Or the journalist will suggest the topic to the columnist, but the columnist will say, well, this thing is good, but if we do it this way, it will have more impact. So you can see, so there is that conversation and understanding. So that's another one. That is in terms of interaction. But also because there is a student aspect to it, these students will have an opportunity to go into a mentoring program. For example, we'll attach them with some of our senior and experienced journalists who will be mentoring them so that they will be able to report happenings not only around their campuses but also around their communities, so that they can grow up with that.
So if
culture.
I get you right, this is more like going to be a kind of a people-based kind of journalism, a kind of human interest journalism that we are seeing. Now, it's a very important thing, but I want you to talk about how important is this in the times that we're in, to have this kind of journalism that focuses more on the people.
It is very important because research all over the world is showing like the interest in media or news media is kind of like going down because of the proliferation of social media and all these digital media companies that are not really trustworthy. So they are corrupting the system. People feel like the media industry is neglecting them. It's not giving them a chance. So this thing will try and address some of these concerns.
So you think that there's a lack of trust between the people and the media these days?
Yeah, because you can see people are saying, well, what you are reporting is not really what we are interested in, or is not really a true picture of what we are seeing on the ground sometimes, especially when people on social media are also spreading fake information. So people are struggling to differentiate what is true, what is right, what is wrong, you know. So that is the problem. But by the time you now bring the audience closer, so they know and they also take responsibility. They feel they are stakeholders, and which we believe they should, because that is not a one-way information. But they will also support the process, the journalism that we produce. And then you can see all these, it will reduce fake news, all this fake information that people are peddling. It will reduce that.
Do you see this as a way to also help with providing information and intelligence, especially as it concerns insecurity and all of that? Do you think that this could also help in, gathering of information?
Yes, not really like intelligence per se to maybe to security agencies, but in a way, obviously the main idea why media organizations are doing reporting conflict, it's not really because they like the conflict or they want it to continue. No, because they want the security agencies to also know what is happening so that they take advantage of those situations, and then go and act to bring the situation to an end or under control. So that is really the thing. So I think it's along the same line. Some of the information that we're going to produce, security agencies are free because it's public information. They can take some of it that they believe is useful and act. For example, there was a time when Daily Trust profiled one bandit leader who shot down an Air Force jet in Zamfara. So there were some complaints about, why are you glorifying these terrorists? We said it's not about him. We're trying, because we are yet to hear anything on that incident up to date. So, but this, we know, we were able to trace the person behind that, responsible for that. So by profiling him, in a way you are now helping the security agencies to know the area, the location, the person, and what he has been doing. You can see, so that would really help them to get information that will aid their work. So this is, I think, is in the same line.
Okay, what are the criteria for people to join this, portal? Are there any specific lay-down guidelines for people participating in this?
Yeah. So on the website, which is membership.dailytrust.com, there are a lot of information on that, including the frequently asked questions. And the major thing is anybody, it's free for anyone to go and join. And although there is a subscription fee, but it's not like it's pay as you can, kind of like format. So there's no fixed amount. So individuals can pay as they can. And then, but the minimum is 1,000 naira per month. And then there is a monthly, and then there is a quarterly subscription that anybody can do. So when you go there, it's a very simple portal. You just put your name and your email, and then it takes you to the payment section, and then you will get your login details. So anytime you go back, you log in. So apart from that, that's for the general public, and then for students, it's free. So students are not required to pay, but they are required to fill in a form that will show that they are actually students. Yeah. So after that, then we send them a coupon that will allow them to log in.
Okay. So what are some of the benefits? Maybe you can talk more on that. You've mentioned a few the other time. Is there any kind of reward maybe for certain people who have contributed, quite a lot in the process of this?
Okay. So it's good to also understand, first of all, that the money that people will contribute is going to be used to produce the kind of journalism that the portal is launched specifically to provide. Number one is special and investigative reports, which are costly to produce. So that is why we said, so any money generated from this will be channeled into that. And then apart from that, we have what we call Career Bill. So this Career Bill is a portal about education and career, teaching people, especially young people, how they should plan their career after graduation, during school, and also what are the jobs opportunities that are out there and how do they go for them, So all this kind of information, there will also be, apart from the written articles about that, there will also be events and job fairs that we'll be organizing, and also we'll be gathering experts to give out talks about career. So for young people, so now they begin to take a very informed decision. And also we have a youth bill. The youth bill is targeting millennials and Gen Zs. So this one is also focusing, that's where the students come in, because it's for youth. And then it also, because we have a lot of issues in our society. So we believe having a youth bill will now help to guide these young people right from their school days, so that they can make an informed decision about their studies, their career, post-graduation decision making, all these kind of things. So this platform will help them to also connect with each other. And you can see, and they also connect with professionals, because these special columnists are professionals from different parts of the field. Some of them are actually employers. So you can see, so the students and the young people have the opportunity to connect with them. So apart from learning, they will also connect with potential employers and other entrepreneurs, so they will learn a lot.
Very, very interesting there. We are speaking with Naziru Mikailu, Editor-in-Chief, Daily Trust newspaper, talking to us about the new initiative of Media Trust to engage readers by, launching a new portal. Now, when is this launching going to happen for our viewers who maybe checking their phones and checking the Daily Trust website right now to see whether if that is up already?
Okay, yeah, so it is actually up. Because what we did was we published a statement in today's newspaper, the hard copy, and then at the same time the statement goes online as well on the Daily Trust website, but it's also on the membership website. So the membership website and the Daily Trust website are connected. So people would now, when they visit either Daily Trust website or the membership website, they will see it, and they will see one or two stories around the thing. But the actual thing is gradual, is taking place from today onward. So we will be putting all the other different aspects of the portal will be coming to force, I think, in the coming days. But at the moment it's launched and people can go and sign up. And if you're a student, there is a link that you can also go in there and provide your information, and we'll send you a code that will allow you to permanently become a member.
All right. We'll quickly take a break now, and then when we come back, the discussion will continue on Daybreak. Please stay with us.
Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the Trust TV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search Trust TV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
African fabric is finding its way to the global stage. But Nigeria is losing out on big textile spenders as the local industry faces imminent extinction.
Behind me is the Arewa Textile Mill, established in 1963 and eventually closed down in 2004.
From over 180 textile mills in the 70s, only about 25 mills now operate at less than 40% capacity.
I'm an employee of Arewa Textile PLC before it closed. After a month, I was just like a madman.
In a day, they laid off 4,500.
The once thriving sector struggles to compete with an annual import of $4 billion.
Smuggling is the order of the day.
For manufacturers, we cannot compete.
We visit the nation's textile hubs to seek answers to why the sector has failed to return to its glory days despite government's intervention.
Good to know that you're still there. It's Daybreak on Trust Television, and yes, we are talking about Daily Trust launching a new portal for its loyal readers. And we have in the studio the editor-in-chief Daily Trust newspaper, Naziru Mikailu. Now, it's very, very interesting to have this kind of arrangement, especially looking at the fact that it's not very common in Nigeria. What are some of the targeted audience that you are looking at with this initiative?
So at the beginning, we're looking at our loyal readers, because we have done a research and found out that after being around for 23 years, Daily Trust has a lot of loyal readers. These readers are our stakeholders. Everything that we do, we care first about our audience before any other interest. So that is why we are going for them at the beginning, because they believe in what we do and we believe in them. You hear sometimes when we make mistakes or we do something, you hear people calling and complaining and feeling like they own the company, which they do actually in real sense. So so we encourage that, and we are riding on that to bring them on board, to say, okay, please come. This is your initiative. We want you to take additional ownership of this by subscribing to Trust Plus, so that you continue to play a role in whatever decision that we make and in the journalism that we produce, because you believe in it. You have been with us for many years, and we want you to continue. And the next target is also the youth. That is why we're bringing Youth Bill and Career Bill to target Gen Zs and millennials. So these are the core targets.
All right. Now, how can we guarantee that, or I would say, how can you guarantee that this initiative is not used as a platform for those who may desire or wish to spread falsehood and all of that, in terms of making their contributions and sending their stories? What are the things that you are putting in place to make sure that whatever you get is authentic?
Okay, so introducing this membership project is not in any way going to replace or take away the normal journalistic processes that news production and publication is about. So we are going to maintain that. This is even an added layer or something that will support the existing gatekeeping and news production processes. So we are the editors. Their role remain as editors. They will be the one to decide at the end what goes out or what is dropped. But in this case, what we are saying, our pool of reporters is now increasing. We are now increasing our pool of reporters. Apart from the so-called Daily Trust reporters, now all our audiences and members of Trust Plus are also part of our news gathering processes. So that's what we are saying.
So what are some of the benefits that the Media Trust aims to get, from this? Is it in cash? Is it, what form? Or what are the benefits for you?
So the most important benefit for us is maintaining or retaining our loyal audience. So they've been with us and they will continue to be with us. So that's number one. And we are also going to hoping to target the young ones who will grow up with a different culture of news consumption. So unlike maybe myself and you, so we consume differently, but these young ones, these Gen Zs, they will grow up with a different culture, with the Instagram culture, TikTok culture, and what have you. So we are also targeting them. And then the other thing is some of the financial contributions that people will make to support the journalism that we do. So that is also another benefit. So these are the three key things that we're looking at.
Okay, we know that Media Trust, have expanded and is still expanding. We have other layers of the Media Trust Limited. We have the TV, we have the paper, and other digital platforms as well. So how can these other platforms benefit from this new arrangement?
So some of the special contents, for example, investigation and special reports, are going to be in multimedia format. So they will be available in the paper. They will also be available on digital, on TV, and also on all the other social media channels. And the key thing that we're doing, this portal, these stories are not going to be behind any paywall. So they are going to be free for everybody to access. But the other key benefits are the ones that are restricted to members. But the content that we produce, or we're going to produce, are going to be free for anyone visiting any of our platforms. So you can see this will allow the TV audience, the digital audience, the newspaper readers to access and benefit from the contents that are going to be produced.
Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing this idea with us. We thank you so much. We've been speaking with Naziru Mikailu, Editor-in-Chief, Daily Trust newspaper. And Daily Trust is launching a digital platform for all its loyal readers and followers. Thank you so much for this time.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, we'll take a quick break now, and then when we come back, we'll take a look at rounding up the show. Please stay with us.
Suleiman, Aya, and Tari, all from the Sulubawa clan, with a unique wealth of culture and deep love for cattle, which truly reflects their sense of family. But over time, everything changes, with no lands for grazing. Experience the incredible story of the Fulani people, loved ones they must protect, the journey they must take.
Well, there you have it. We've come to the end of Daybreak for today. Hopefully, you'll join us for another time on the show. We do this Mondays to Fridays every weekday in the morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. In case you've missed, you can catch up on our social media handles. Particularly if you go to our YouTube channel, you would find all the contents there. We had robust discussions here on Nigeria at 61, and also we looked at the digital launch of the Daily Trust new portal. Well, it's been great. My name is Ayuba Ilia, and I want to say Happy Independence Day. Bye for now.